Yo, what's going down, man? It is me, the Stylesman, okay? And we are gonna go through the Prince of Persia remake, okay? What I believe, all my suggestions, all my opinions, everything that I have to say that I believe will make the game successful, okay? I'm gonna be saying as much as I can in as much detail as possible, giving live footage, yeah, videos, and so forth, giving as many references as possible to give Ubisoft the support that they need so that they know which direction they want to take the game in, okay, and to make it the best Prince of Persia game that it could possibly be, okay, at least for the first game. Let's talk about two things at the moment, right now: story and graphics. Okay, I'm not going to be talking about these in much detail. Why? Because it's a remake. The story has already been established. There's no need to take it any further or take it any less than where it already is. Alright? The story in the Prince of Persia remake is already there. It's finished, yeah, it's done. Yeah. So I don't want them to extend it, make it longer than it has to be, or make it shorter, like make it less extensive than it should be. Right? So that's very, very important to mention, okay? But I do believe there are many things that they can do which can enrich the lore of the story, which can enrich the lore of the Prince of Persia Sands of Time, okay? And I'll be mentioning that later in this video, okay? Second thing, graphics. Graphics are self-explanatory. You don't need me to tell you what makes good graphics, okay? They already know. You already know. Okay, I'm not expecting supreme, executive, high performance, amazing graphics. No, I'm not saying that. To be honest, I'm not even a graphics person to begin with. Okay, I'm not a graphics person, but I do believe if you are going to be selling your selling your game on different more modern consoles, then it's important that you do provide the appropriate graphics to accommodate those certain consoles. Yeah, you got to do the game justice for whatever platform you decide to sell the game on. That's only fair. Okay, so if you are going to release the game on PlayStation 4, on Xbox One, or on PC, you need to make sure that you can provide the correct style of graphics to accommodate for those consoles. Okay? Simply, it's simple as it. There's no need for me to delve into this any further than I already mentioned. Okay, so story, graphics, out of the question. They're finished. It's done. Okay. All right. So this time I am going to be talking about the gameplay of Prince of Persia. Okay. So primarily, gameplay of Prince of Persia splits into two factors. There's two main components that make the gameplay of Prince of Persia. Okay, the platforming and the combat. All right. Why are these two areas so important? And why do I believe also that the combat serves a very huge purpose in the Prince of Persia games? Well, the Prince of Persia does something unique that no other hack and slash game does, and I believe that if it really tones out and defines its unique aspects, yeah, and then it can definitely stand alongside the other hack and slash games like Ninja Gaiden, Bayonetta, Devil May Cry. I really do believe that, yeah. But it can't be exactly the same either, alright? So it needs to have something that feels familiar with its competitors, but at the same time have enough unique features to be able to stand on its own 2 feet, yeah, and feel like a completely different game and allow it to stand out from its competition. Okay, so every single game has their own unique features. All right, let me give you some examples here. All right, what makes Devil May Cry special? And what makes Devil May Cry stand out from the rest of its competition, such as with games such as Bayonetta, Ninja Gaiden, and so forth. All right, Devil May Cry. It's what Devil May Cry does like no other hack and slash game. What sets Devil May Cry apart from the rest of its competition is the huge amount of skills that they provide you with. The game gives you so many different tools, from ranging from gun to melee combat and to all these magical abilities that you possess. And what Devil May Cry does is allow you with this freedom to use these special movements and link them together to create so many different types of combinations, weapon combination, attack combinations with these movements. Not just attacks, but how they allow you to move on the battlefield. All of these things and how they can be utilized, how they can be experimented with to perform so many different types of weapon combos, and it's just amazing. That's why whenever you see all these different things put into action in the correct manner through other more well-versed players on the internet, you can see in these YouTube channels the amount of crazy weapon combos that they do to do all this crazy stuff. It's just astonishing. It's a real marvel to look at, giving you a whole selection of special movements, yeah, which players can then experiment with to see the effects that they have on different types of enemies and how to implement them, link them together with other moves that they give you for some very, very cool combos. So this is the distinction with Devil May Cry. Bayonetta, what sets Bayonetta apart from the rest of its competition? Well, alright, so what sets Bayonetta apart from the rest of its competition is its huge amount of set combos. So if we go into, I believe it's here, the Tome of Umbran Arts, it's been a while since I played this game, we can see different types of techniques. If you go into the techniques menu, the game has a ton of set combos, default combos, yeah, for every single category of weapons that they provide you with, okay? So this is just one list of combos for a particular weapon that you can equip both on your hands and feet, known as Scarborough Fair, which are handguns. And yes, you can actually equip guns on your feet in this game. Yeah, and then if you move on to the next category, see the icon which is above, yeah, are the weapon that's equipped on the hands, and the icon that's below is the item that is, or the weapon that is equipped on the feet, right? And you can see even more combos that are available for every single weapon. You can even see the amount of times you actually use said combo here. Alright, you can see whether it's an air combo as well or a combo that is performed on the ground, pause combos, all sorts of things. And there's a huge list of combos for every single weapon or every single type of weapon combination. It's insane, right? And in fact, there's even more weapons which I haven't unlocked yet because I started a new save file. So you cannot see all the different types of weapon combinations because I haven't unlocked all the weapons just yet. But there is a huge, huge, huge amount of set default combos, right? That is just one aspect of Bayonetta which makes it so amazing. Another distinct feature is the punch and click system. So one button just controls hand movements, all right, and that is the Y button. I'm using the Xbox controller, and the B button, or I think on PlayStation it's circle, right? That is the dedicated kick button. So all feet movements, feet attacks are linked to these buttons, all right, and you can mix them up for some combos and so forth. I don't want to get into too much detail. This is not just, I'm not showcasing Bayonetta here. I'm giving you examples as to what makes this game unique and different from the rest of its competition. So these are the unique elements within these kinds of hack and slash games which make them familiar, yeah, but at the same time there's plenty of unique aspects about them which set them apart and give each game its own identity. What does Prince of Persia have? Okay, why do I believe Prince of Persia can stand alongside the rest of these games? Well, for two reasons. One, because of its platforming. In every single hack and slash game made, there are always a few platforming elements littered in here and there, but they're quite weak. It's never been the focus of these games. Devil May Cry has platforming elements, but they're weak. Bayonetta has them, but they're still weak. Star Wars has them, they're still weak. Ninja Gaiden has them. Even though you're able to wall run and uh, traverse in this game like no other game, they're still weak. But the only game that has done it right, properly, has been Prince of Persia. Yeah, for the first time ever, Prince of Persia not only has succeeded in its combat when it comes to the trilogy and possibly the reboot, because I think the reboot was still pretty good, although the combat was not as in depth as the trilogy. Its platforming, the platforming in Prince of Persia has always been a focus alongside with the combat, and it's been spot on ever since. The way you can run across walls, run along walls, the way you can use things like columns in the environment to your advantage, the way you can bounce off walls to fight enemies, yeah, and not just that, outside of combat too. Yeah, the platforming is not boring, it's not dull, it's exciting, it feels fun, it flows, it's fluid. Unlike other games, when you reach a platforming section in a game like Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, you don't feel that want or desire to complete that section because it's weak, it's not good. Also, another unique element that Prince of Persia has that no other game does is the element of time. How to manipulate time to your advantage in both platforming areas and in combat. The ability to freeze your enemies in place while you can move freely. The ability to slow down time. The ability to rewind time. This is something that only Prince of Persia has. It's a trademark of the Prince of Persia games. And not just in combat, but in platforming also. And this needs to be explored more. This needs to be utilized even further to make Prince of Persia more distinct and to make its unique identity made even stronger. So, we've mentioned the two main areas of Prince of Persia, combat and platforming. Now, I am going to explain as well as I can, as best as I can, how this can all be improved to make sure that it can really be made definitive and a trademark of the Prince of Persia series. All right. So first of all, I'm going to talk about the platforming, right? Since even before combat, back in the 2D games, platforming was more of a focus, and it's more well known in Prince of Persia, I guess, not as much as the combat. When it comes to the platforming, okay, the platforming has always been solid. Whenever I play a Prince of Persia game, I always know that the platforming is going to be solid. There's never any worry, any doubt in my mind that the platforming will be weak. It's always been strong, always been solid from the very beginning since the sands of time. Yeah, and I have no doubts in my mind that that won't change. What makes the platforming special in Prince of Persia games is the fluidity, how fluid everything is, the motions of the prince, the way that he traverses from column to column, the way that he walks up walls, the way that he runs along the walls from horizontal, vertical. All of this stuff is really, really cool. And what enhances this even further is the fantastic animation quality. Alright, even from the very first game, The Prince of Persia Sands of Time, even then, the Prince of Persia reboot back in 2008 was also spectacular in terms of its animation quality. Right? The way that the prince backflips from pole to pole whenever he dismounts from it, the way that he runs along the walls, all of this stuff, the way that he jumps from one column to another column, yeah, in such fluidity is something that is really, really cool. Okay, so the focus is there, yeah, the strength is there, but it can be enhanced even further. How do I believe it can be enhanced even further? Well, it's like I mentioned before, the Prince of Persia has series has something that no other game series has, and that is the ability to manipulate time, right? There are a few puzzles littered within the game here and there, but these are more mind puzzles. In a game, it's very important that whatever you add to a game, it helps to affect not just the game story-wise, but gameplay-wise too, right? So if you have this dagger of time, the power to manipulate time with the dagger of time, it should be utilized more, not just in combat, yeah, but in other areas of the game as well. Say, for example, platforming. Right. So at the moment, I'm playing Shadow. Sorry, not Shadow. What am I saying? I'm playing Castlevania Lords of Shadow. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because this will be a perfect example of what I mean by having new items which affect the gameplay. Okay, so in this current area that we are in this chapter, this section of the game. We've just defeated a boss and we've obtained a new power. This is Dark Gauntlet, which helps us to blast things away. Okay, so let me show you it in action. Okay, so as you can imagine, this is a powerful item which can be used to break objects if I'm close enough. There we go. Alright, it can be charged up and so forth. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because the way that the game utilizes new items, alright, to improve the gameplay aspects or expand the gameplay aspects is really amazing. So right now we have a statue here, and in order to advance throughout the game, we are going to need to utilize our new power, our newfound power. Alright, so by using the Dark Gauntlet, I'm able to push that statue or gain enough power to push that statue to open a new pathway for myself. Alright, so that's what I mean by having a new item improve the gameplay aspects in terms of platforming or puzzle solving. Another really cool thing is how the game actually allows you to amplify this power even further. By pressing the RB button, I'm able to enter shadow magic mode. Okay, so now normally what would happen is that I would have to charge the gauntlet, yeah, for a more powerful blast. Okay, you can even see the fire coming out from the edges there when it's fully powered, right? And if I just do it, if I just press the input for the Shadow Gauntlet, you get a regular blast. But if I activate Shadow Magic Power, I can instantly perform the most powerful blast just by pressing the input without holding it. Like that, okay? So that's something that's really, really cool about this game. So look, by doing this, it's opened up a new pathway for me to grip. So a cool thing is that this also can be used in combat, right? So let me just demonstrate. You see that? So this is why this game is so amazing and I hold it in such high regard. It's that whatever new abilities the game gives you, there's a way to use these abilities in both puzzle aspects, platforming aspects, as I'm now going to demonstrate getting across this gap, with the new pathway that we've just unlocked for ourselves, and combat aspects. So every single aspect of the game has been improved thanks to the new ability that we've just obtained from fighting that boss. Alright, so from that demonstration, I hope that you can understand what I mean by having abilities that can help to improve every single aspect in the game. Now, Prince of Persia, you have the Dagger of Time. How can this be utilized or implemented in a way that every single aspect of the game can now become more expansive, become expanded? Okay, well, if it's time, we got time manipulation, the ability of time manipulation. Okay, there are many puzzles that just require you to turn a crank or something, but they never actually really utilize any of abilities besides this. Okay, now in combat, you are able to use a Dagger of Time to freeze opponents or slow down time. Yeah, but why not be able to use these kinds of abilities for other elements of the game too, like platforming? Okay, one example would be perhaps I need to cross a body of water, cross a lake or something like that. Now, it'll be too dangerous to swim across here, hypothetically, because maybe there's some sort of threat in the water, so I can't just swim and cross it normally that way. Yeah, so what I would need to do perhaps is to completely freeze time. Yeah, so now I'm able to walk across the water. Yeah, or slow down time so I can then run really quickly across the water, yeah, to get to my intended destination. That's one example. Okay, another puzzle example would be that I need to turn some cranks or something like that, and all the cranks they move too fast, or there could be something wrong with the cogs. And what I'll need to do is I'll need to utilize the Dagger of Time to freeze that one cog so I can get the entire mechanism working correctly for a short moment of time to proceed to the next level. Okay, so things like this, if I have the ability to slow down time, in the Prince of Persia Sands of Time, you were able to slow down time. Yeah, why not also use this ability in the platforming as well? So one area that was impossible to get to may now be possible using the ability to slow down time. Maybe even making time go faster. Maybe some object to get some item that you need to progress to the next level may be too slow in reaching its intended target. Okay, so perhaps we need to speed up time, speed up that one object, speed up that one thing to help it reach its intended target faster, opening up the pathway, and then you can proceed to the next level. So there are all these different kinds of things, and even normal platforming. Okay, yeah, one thing that I really like about Prince of Persia Warrior Within is when you had the ability to slow down time, you still can move at normal speed, but everything else slows down, making lots of different platforming elements a lot easier. Okay, so you can use the dagger and its powers however you wish, and if it made things easier for you, great. Okay, that's what it's there for. That's what I believe the Prince of Persia Sands of Time should also adopt. The ability of having the stagger of time and its powers being implemented in such a way which it can make harder platforming areas much more easier. Okay, and some areas which are simply impossible to get through now possible thanks to the newfound upgrades, powers, and abilities that you can obtain through the Dagger of Time as you progress through the story. So one bonus feature that I think would be really, really cool, just a little bonus, right, would be the inclusion of tricks. Okay, so we see all these different kinds of skills, and even the main character, the prince, he uses these skills himself anyway. When jumping from one bar to the next bar, he performs a backflip and all these other things. Just as a bonus for the additional style points, why not give the player the option to just perform lots of tricks on the bars or on the columns and stuff? That would be really, really cool. Yeah, just put it in there so I can have fun and mess about with it. I don't know, just it would be a cool little side thing, right? Just it just makes things gives things that extra flair, makes things a lot more fun, a lot more cool to look at. It's so visually appealing and it's suitable for a strong athletic person like the prince. All right, yo. So let's talk about the combat now in Prince of Persia. What I've done to make myself as clear as possible in this section is make a series of flowcharts. So let's go through every single flowchart, and I'll be giving live video footage and examples of each and every single thing. In a few of these clips that you'll be watching now are movements that I'm actually doing myself, so I recorded myself doing these movements, and some things have been helped out, thanks to another person that I know. One important thing to mention as well, that when I'm demonstrating a lot of these movements, you'll see that one of my hands have got a sword. My right hand is the hand that wields the sword, and my left hand is free. Yeah, just assume that my left hand is the one that holds the dagger of time while I'm doing these movements. Okay, awesome. So here are the flowcharts that I've made. Now, the idea behind this is that I am utilizing the controller. Okay, and the controller here. Yeah, my input decision was that X would be the sword attacks, Y would be dagger attacks, B would be the kicks, and A will be the acrobatic movements. Okay, so please keep that in mind when I'm talking through my flowchart decisions. Okay, so let's go through the flowchart. All right, first of all, we have our sideways kicks. So these are all about movement. All right, so what we have here is different kinds of movement possibilities, starting from standing, a stagnant standing position. And what happens is if you're locked onto the opponent that's facing in front of you, okay, and if you want to dodge to the side, you'll perform a normal side roll, and then from there on, you'll perform a cartwheel, and then if you want to continue the sideways dodging from a cartwheel to an aerial. Okay, and you can see different kinds of combinations that can be performed, different kinds of attacks, kicking attacks that will be performed from these combinations. Okay, so from standing, yeah, to a side roll, and you'll see two different inputs here. Okay, the idea behind this is that if you decide to press the kick button early, yeah, you'll perform a front sweep kick with the side roll, and then you can connect that with a back sweep kick. Okay, and if you press the kick button just a bit later, just slightly later, instead of performing this combination that you see up here, you perform the low spin kick. Okay, from a side roll, if you want to continue the sideways dodge movement, okay, an early kick attack from the cartwheel would be the back kick, yeah, or the spin kick, yeah, and another attack would be the tornado kick, okay, and you'll be seeing me do that in the video. Right, and then from there, if you want to continue on with the sideways movement, the first attack that will be performed, the first type of kick that will be performed from this will be the butterfly kick, and the delayed kick would be the katana kick. All right, and if we move on to the next one, then we have sword attacks. All right, so the sword inputs would be the X button on the Xbox controller. So sideways sword attacks from standing, we go into a side roll, and then from a side roll, what we can do is by pressing the X button, we perform a shin slice. Yeah, and then from here, yeah, if you want to continue into the cartwheel, from the cartwheel, if we press the X button, we perform a midsection slice, and then that can continue onwards by pressing Y. Yeah, since this is a dagger movement, we'll perform the mid-section dagger slice. Yeah, cartwheel onto an aerial. Yeah, so the aerial being another movement in the sideways dodging. Yeah, from there we perform a downward slice, and then we can connect that with an upward slice. Or if you want to get the dagger involved, a downward slice, then dagger slice, and then upward slice from there. Sideways dagger attacks, primarily the dagger being used this time. Yeah, okay, standing to side roll, and from a side roll we perform a dagger shin slice. Yeah, from a dagger shin slice, then a shin slice will be performed. Okay, with the sword, and then if we move on to the cartwheel, from the cartwheel we will have a downward dagger slice, and from a downward dagger slice, if we have a sword input, we will have the downward slice here. From an aerial, okay, we'll have the midsection dagger slice, and then from there we can connect the sword movement to perform a midsection slice. Forwards kick attacks. Alright, so from standing, yeah, we can move forwards to perform a forward roll, and then from a forward roll, we will perform a forward roll kick. Yeah, from a forward roll, then a front handspring would be performed, and from there, a front flip will be performed. So this will be the front moving dodging. Oh yeah, with the forwards movements with the A button, right, with the X button on the PlayStation controller. So forward roll, front handspring, and front flip. From the forward roll, if you press B or circle, it will be the forward roll kick. From the front handspring, it will be the front handspring kick, and from the front flip, it will be the front flip drop kick. I won't be performing these moves or demonstrating them myself because I'm not really too comfortable performing these movements on grass just yet. Yeah, so I'll be giving other different examples. All right, so from standing, we have the forward sword attacks now. So standing, forward roll, and then from there, a forwards lunge. You see that normally in the Prince of Persia games anyway, that this is done when you roll forwards towards an enemy and you press the attack button, you perform a forwards lunge. Okay, and from there, if you continue onwards with that combination, we move into our front handspring, and from there, from that front handspring, you perform a downward slice. Yeah, moving on to a front flip, then we perform a front flip downward slice. Okay, so these two will be acting in a similar manner. Okay, the only difference is that one is performed from a front flip, and another one is performed from a front handspring. Okay, so forwards dagger attacks. Okay, so standing forward roll to a forward lunge, this time with the dagger, and this is also um, already in the Prince of Persia Sands of Time. Okay, from forward roll to front handspring, alright, to a downward, and if you want to use the dagger from there, downward slice, just like the sword. Okay, front flip, and the connection with that would be the front flip downward stab. Okay, so it's stabbing the opponent, perhaps in the head or the shoulder or something with the dagger rather than a downward slide. Stabbing with a dagger is more appropriate because it's a dagger continuing onwards we have the backwards motions now. Okay, so if you go back, if we're moving backwards from standing, backwards roll, and then back handspring, and then backflip. All right. So from the backwards roll, there'll be a roll kick, just like the front roll or the forwards roll. Okay, back handspring to the back handspring kick. All right. Uh, now, yeah. So back handspring to the back handspring kick, and then from the backflip, yeah. The early input would be the flash kick, and the late input would be the late drop kick. Okay. So sideways motions. All right. So this is having different connections of motion. Yeah, when going into a side roll. So what I mean by this is that if you want to move sideways or dodge sideways, and suddenly you want to dodge forwards or backwards from these movements, this is what would happen. Okay, so standing into a side roll, from a side roll, if you want to perform a forwards roll, if you want to move forwards from a side roll, then you'll perform a forwards roll, yeah, by using the A button. This is all with using the A button, and then from there you perform the normal forwards movements, which I've labeled as forward acrobatics. From side roll, if you want to go backwards or dodge backwards, you perform the backwards roll. Okay, and then from there, backwards acrobatics. Yeah, from the side roll to a cartwheel. Yeah, from a cartwheel, if you want to dodge forwards, you'll perform a front walkover instead, not a front handspring. Yeah, a front walkover, because that seems more appropriate. Okay, and then from front walkover, I've labeled this as FA, which stands for forward acrobatics, as you can see here. Yeah, from a cartwheel, if you want to go backwards, you perform the macaco, which is the monkey flip, yeah, instead of a back handspring. And then from there, you perform the backwards acrobatics, which I've labeled as BA. Okay, cartwheel from a cartwheel to an aerial. Yeah, to dodge forwards from there, you'll perform a fly spring. Yeah, and FA forwards acrobatics, and from aerial straight to backwards acrobatics if you want to move backwards. Okay, forwards. Okay, so this is forwards motions. Yeah, going both sideways and backwards. Okay, so let's see here. Yeah, so if you're going to go into a forwards roll, yeah, we can either go to a side roll or backwards roll from there into backwards acrobatics, side acrobatics, front handspring to a cartwheel. Yeah, so if you go into a front handspring, then from there, if you want to dodge sideways, we'll go into a cartwheel, and then side acrobatics, which I've labeled as SA. Okay, front handspring to back handspring, and then back acrobatics. Front flip to aerial, side acrobatics. Front flip to back handspring, backwards acrobatics. And this right here is the down state movement. So in Prince of Persia, there's a state that you have where you are on the floor and you have your guard up. All right, I'm labeling this as the downed state. One thing that I do want to mention is that I hope that we actually get the choice as the player to go into the down state manually ourselves rather than just being knocked into the down state. So what I mean by that is normally what happens to enter the down state is that we are forced into it if we are swept off our feet or something. Yeah, but instead, right, so what idea that I have is that if we are going into the down state, yeah, and if you want to do it ourselves, from a roll, okay, we press the R1 button or the block button, okay. On the Xbox, I believe it's RB. On the PlayStation, it's R1. Okay, so if we go into a roll animation and we press the R1 button, which is the block button, yeah, we enter a stagnant animation on the floor and we enter the down state ourselves manually without having to be forced into it by the enemy. Okay, I think that would be pretty good since, first of all, it will be a good cancel. Yeah, and it will be important if you want to use something like that in combat. Secondly, the prince is already on the ground because he's rolling. Okay, it wouldn't make sense for him to suddenly pop up and quickly snap from one animation to him back on his feet blocking if you enter the block animation. So if you enter the block animation, or if you want to start blocking while performing a roll movement, then I think it only makes sense to enter the down state on the ground, blocking on the ground. Okay. So once again, let's look at the down state movement. Okay, so if we're on the down state and we want to move sideways, right? all we need to do is move the left analog stick to the side, okay, and on either side we perform a side roll, and then from there side acrobatics. Yeah, if you choose to continue dodging in the side directions, yeah, down straight to a forward roll. Yeah, if you want to move forwards to forward acrobatics, down straight to a back roll if you want to move backwards, and then from there backwards acrobatics. Okay, down state with acrobatic movement. So normally what would happen is that you would enter a rolling animation if you decide to move from the down state, but I've added this function here because if you want to move and while pressing the acrobatic button, which is the A button, yeah, instead of just rolling, what you can perform is a quick snap to your feet by performing these movements right here. Okay, so from a down state, if we choose to go sideways into a cartwheel, we'll move the left analog stick either left or right, yeah, while pressing the A button or the jump button, yeah, for an acrobatic movement to help us get back onto our feet into the cartwheel. And then from the side acrobatics, okay, from the down state, if you want to move forwards in with acrobatic movement, then we'll perform a head spring, which is similar to a handspring, a front handspring or a back handspring, but instead we'll be using our head as well to support us with our movement, popping back onto our feet, okay, and from there front acrobatics. Okay, from the down state, yeah, if you want to move backwards in acrobatic fashion, then you'll perform the macaco, and then from there backwards acrobatics. Okay, and also I have this additional arrow here. Yes, so if you want to move from the down state back onto your feet in a neutral position, all what that would happen, yeah, is that you perform the kip up. All right, down state attacks. All right, so from the down state, if you choose to attack your way, uh, to get back on your feet. Yeah, by pressing the sword attack button, you enter the sword breakdance move. Okay, yeah, and this is only for the sword. There's no dagger movement here because I don't think any dagger movement would be appropriate in this state. Yeah, and then you also have the star kip. So if you abuse the kick button, which I've assigned as my B button or my circle button on the PlayStation controller, then you perform the star kip. Yeah, and that will be the kicking motion from the down state. And by performing any of these motions, you would come back up on your feet automatically. So these will be the movement selection for the Prince of Persia remake that I've chosen for myself. I feel like they will be good for the prince since the prince is once again very athletic, he's very agile, he's very flexible. Okay, I think this would be appropriate for him, right? And yeah, I think that would be a great addition in terms of movement. Okay. So in the Prince of Persia, you have this 6-hit combo. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, and you can actually use the dagger mid combo, and it still continues with your combo. So see, it doesn't actually reset your combo. But at the same time, what I don't like is how even mid combo you do these same exact attacks again, and mid combo if you to use a dagger, it's always the exact same stab animation. All right, so one thing that can greatly improve this is if you go to Prince of Persia Warrior Within. Okay, so here we are with Prince of Persia Warrior Within. Okay, and this is going to be a great example of different kinds of combos that you can use in this game. Okay, so if we go into the combo list, yeah, now this I'm using an Xbox controller, so this is not really too suited for Xbox for showing Xbox controls. It's just showing button 3, button 4, things like that because you might, I think, in the fear of you not being able to know what button it is if you are using either mouse or keyboard or controller. Yeah, so here we go. Yeah, tons of different kinds of movements for you to perform. Yeah, from single weapon techniques like that. You can also hold down the button for a charge attack. Yeah, and because we have two weapons in hand, yeah, we can perform the dual weapon techniques. And you can see that there's sections for acrobatics and stuff as well, which we'll go through in later on in this video. Yeah, so we go dual weapon techniques, and there's so many more techniques here. And one thing is that if you use your secondary weapon, it doesn't reset your combo, so everything flows nicely. So let's see. We got the button 3 for me would be the X button on the Xbox controller. I think it would be square on the PlayStation. Button 4 is the Y button on Xbox, triangle on PlayStation. Yeah. So let's see what we've got here. We've got square, 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 or X, 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 which is the normal combo. Then we have X, Y, Y. See, look, using the different combinations causes you to perform different movements. Yeah. My only gripe with these is that they don't look, the animations themselves, they don't look clean or as good as the animations in Prince of Persia Sands of Time. I feel like they're a lot more flowing, they're a lot more fluid. These look a lot more rigid, yeah, but the combos themselves look pretty cool. I mean, like, they just need to work on the animation quality, and I feel like this can look a lot better. Let's see what other kinds of combos they have. You can pull off some really, really cool stuff though. X, X, Y, Y. What was that? 6-hit combo there. See what I mean though? It doesn't look too good because the animation quality in this game is not that good compared to the Sands of Time. Yeah, so if they really make the animation quality better to make everything look more smoother, yeah, rather than make it look too rigid like this, then it could be much more improved. See, they look cool though, like I can see what they're going for. Oops, wrong one. You know what I mean? It's just a shame that the animations themselves, they don't look that good. Otherwise, it would have been spectacular to see all of this. We got the double weapon techniques, and then from there, yeah, that was just from the right hand. So using the primary weapon first, and now if we use a secondary weapon first, we can perform even more movements. Y, which is that. See, he looks like a gorilla in this game. You know what I'm saying? His hands are all out, it doesn't look too refined. I look at all the names for these combos too, man. Like they are really, really good. Okay, so we got Y, X, 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 X. You can also hold down the button for some charge attacks. And every single different type of weapon in this game has its own charge attack. So that's really cool. That animation looks a lot better. Alright, but you get the point. Okay, what I'm trying to say here is that the combos are integrated, or the movements are integrated with the combo. So it doesn't reset the combo, but instead it looks a lot different. Yeah, and they look good. Well, they could look a lot better if the animations were better. Yeah, but the combos themselves, it's a huge improvement from the Sands of Time, and it's something that they should continue onwards when making the remake. Alright, so in the wall combat, or the usage of the walls in Prince of Persia Sands of Time, alright, it's not as extensive as Warrior Within, and I would like to demonstrate what you can do using the walls in combat. So one thing that I do love about Prince of Persia is how you can use the walls to your advantage in combat to perform some certain movements. So if I take out my sword here, I can jump against a wall by pressing the jump button, like that, okay? You enter this kind of stance, just like that. Okay, and from there, if I press the square button, use the sword, I can perform that stab movement. Yeah, and if I press the dagger button, which is Y on Xbox controller, I use a dagger stab like that. Okay, if I want to, I can actually use the wall to vote over enemies like so. and you can perform the regular vaulting combinations. So I got a stab, you got a sword strike there, and the second one you had the dagger strike, and then the sword, yeah, or you can use that, you know, and so it's not as extensive as you'd hope for it to be, and also you can wall run an attack. There's one attack like that, and if you go the other way, there's the other one. But that's it. You can't. There's no attack for running up the wall vertically or anything like that. So that's a real shame. On to the Prince of Persia Warrior Within. Alright, so here we are back on with the Prince of Persia Warrior Within. Okay, and there are some moves that I can show you, and there's some that can only be shown in the middle of combat. So I'll show you what can be shown at the moment. Right. So right now we do have our wall vault like in the previous game, and we have more combinations in this game compared to the previous game. So let me just show you what we have. So if I block, use the acrobatic button towards the wall, all right, we can perform our vault. Yeah, so let's do that again with some sword attacks. So X will be the primary sword weapon or square on PlayStation. Yeah, and there's a signature two-hit combo. Yeah, and then from there, if you want to use the secondary attack button, yeah, we perform different moves. You got the spinning crescent there, yeah, and then from there, yeah, spinning crescent to landing sweep kick by pressing the Y button or the triangle button, and we can mix these combos up together as well. Yeah, spinning crescent to slice, and then upwards, in midair slice to sweep. Okay, and one cool thing also is that vertical combat now exists, all right, in this game. Okay, so let me show you. If I run up the wall, yeah, I can perform different kinds of sword attacks. It's still quite limited, but I'm glad it's here. It looks really, really cool. So if I press the primary attack button, square or X on Xbox, yeah, this happens. All right, look at that form. Oh my days, bro, it looks so good. Yeah, and it can also there can be a finishing move from there by double tapping square right there. So you can see this is just one hit, the upward slash, and two here. There's the finish. And if I press the secondary attack button while running on the wall, yeah, I can perform a wall full with a spinning sweep landing. It's so cool, man. Okay, and now let me show you what you can do in the midst of combat as well. Alright, so we have some enemies. I got them to respawn. Okay, let me show you what you can do inside of combat. Alright, so this time, yeah, we still have our normal movements. Look at that, it knocks him down. That sweep kick knocks him down. Okay, we got the regular slash, the sword attack with the square rebound against the wall. From there, if I can get to a wall, we've got like a spinning kick, katana kick from the wall right there, which knocks them down. Okay, another really cool thing right here, yeah, is that if I wall run horizontally, yeah, if I can get to the wall, I can vault from the wall by wall running horizontally. Really, really cool, man. This game is so cool, man. I just wish the animations were better. I think I can actually throw my weapon as well. Let me see. I can. I threw my weapon in him. Wow. Even vertical wall running, that's insane. Sorry, horizontal. Wait, can I do it vertically? Yeah, okay, so I can actually vault while doing a vertical wall run as well in this game now. You couldn't do that previously. Whoa, this is insane. I'm learning new stuff. Yeah, I threw my weapon in him again. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff that you can do in this game that you couldn't do previously. So here we are back with Prince of Persia Warrior Within, and this time I would like to talk about environmental usage in this game. So in the sands of time, there's not really much you can do with the environment to use to your advantage besides the regular wall bouncing and wall lunging and the rebounds that I've shown you before with the vaulting and stuff like that. In Warrior Within, it's also it's there, it's expanded, but it's also quite limited. For example, we have this column in the center. If I want to, yeah, I can actually use that column to help slice all surrounding enemies. Yeah, and if I use so that's with the primary attack button. If I use my secondary attack button, then I perform a special kind of kick. Look at that. Yeah, and that's if my hand is free. Okay, I perform this kick, the katana. Alright, if I have a weapon equipped, and then I use the secondary attack button on the column, then this happens. I perform a slice instead. So that's pretty much it though. Yeah, besides the wall combat that I've already shown you guys, yeah, and now this usage of the column mid-combat, there's not really much else that these games will provide you with in terms of environmental usage, okay? And that really sucks because, like I said before, the prince is a very, very agile, athletic person, okay? So what if I want to maybe vote over this, yeah, and then attack from vaulting over this piece of rock maybe? Or what if there's a bench or something in the game and I can perch on it or something? Because there's a lot of benches and stuff around in these Prince of Persia games, and there's a lot of these things like barrels and baskets and stuff, and it would be great to be able to use these things in combat as well, to manipulate them, to throw them at your enemies, maybe you vault over these small objects, like bounce over them and then attack the enemy from around it, behind it or something. That would be really, really cool. I think that would be a huge, huge improvement if you have a bench or something, yeah, to be able to perch on the bench, kick from the bench, climb up the bench, run up the bench and then jump off it, performing a flip or something like that. That'd be really, really awesome. Yeah, maybe if we're climbing in the column, yeah, if we descend, like we can attack from the column like this. But what if, imagine if we can like slide down and slice our way down as we descend. That would be really, really amazing. So stuff like this, if maybe what if we can push an enemy into the environment, like grab them and throw them into the environment. So if I have a free hand, then I am able to vote, perform a different kind of vote over an enemy, and then launch them in one direction, either to the side, in front, or behind. Watch this. So that's behind. Push them in front like that, and then perform a kick up to get back up on my feet. Push them to the side by rolling. Yeah, either side. So this is really, really cool stuff. Maybe I can push him into the barrel. Let me see. Oh, I did it, but I don't think it did any damage though. Alright, so let's show you another way that the environment can be used by throwing enemies off the ledge. Alright, so let me throw this guy off the ledge. So that's another way you can use the environment. And you can see that he shattered down there. But like besides all this, there's not really much else that you can do. I tried throwing them into the barrels and nothing happened. So maybe you can use that to your advantage. That's something that they can include in the game to have more environmental usage. So like I said, just being able to jump over benches and maybe kick from them, perform a vault over a ledge or something, that would be really, really cool. You know, just any way to improve the game using the environment, besides which I've already shown you. So, in Prince of Persia games, there's this very, very cool thing that you can do that's quite well known in the Prince of Persia games. That's the ability to vote over your enemies. So, allow me to demonstrate. That's it right there, the voting mechanic. Alright, so by pressing the A button when close to an enemy, I'm able to vault over the enemy like so. Okay, and I can vault over enemies in any direction, whether they're to the side, in front of me, behind me. Yeah, so it's really, really cool. And then from there, I can perform some attacks. Yeah, there's the square movement with the sword. Yeah, I can use the dagger as well. So to freeze the enemy using the freeze power and then slice them up in half. Yeah, and that's pretty much it really. But there's another thing that I can do. If the enemy's weakened enough in that stun state like so, I can go over and use a dagger like that and finish them off. Okay, but also I can use the wall to vault over them and perform the exact same movements. So you can actually also use a dagger like that to instantly retrieve them and finish them off. And then there's the other way. So that's vaulting in this game. Yeah, it's a really cool thing. It helps with spacing. It helps you to really maneuver yourself and strategically place yourself in the area that you want to be in the middle of combat. Alright, to move around enemies, to move over an enemy. Yeah, and also you can dodge some real dodge sweep attacks with this movement. Yeah, so it's really, really cool. Okay. This has been further improved in the Prince of Persia Warrior Within, okay, where the vaulting in that game is a lot more versatile, and I will be demonstrating that in a second. Alright, so here we are with Warrior Within. Okay, and vaulting in Warrior Within has been tremendously improved. Alright, as I am about to demonstrate, we have our enemies coming up right here. Okay, so the vaulting in this game, you can feel the weight of the prince really trying to vault over his enemies. Okay, and there's a lot more combinations. So you've seen the combinations that we could perform before from the wall, which is the normal slices, and we have the kicks now as well to help us out. Yeah, like that. This is really, really cool, and you can perform them in any combination that you like. But another really cool thing about this game, yeah, is that the secondary weapons that we have are disposable. Okay, so you actually saw me last time perform a vault over an enemy and then throw my weapon over them. Yeah, you can do that with a normal vault as well. Okay, so watch this. Yep, and now my weapon's been thrown right in him. You can see that right there. So by pressing the B button or the circle button, I can throw my weapon inside the enemy. Alright, so that's really, really cool. What I can also do is perform a combo vault. By pressing AA, I can rebound myself in the opposite direction. Right, so that is really, really cool. And then I can rebound like that, which is really, really sick actually. Yeah, so I can actually use that to hit the wall and combo off that, like you saw, just like that. Whoa, nice flip. Yeah, but you can also, you just saw that I'm able to use this combo vault to vault over another enemy and perform the same strikes. Yeah, so vaulting from one enemy, pushing myself off him, and vaulting over another enemy. So another really cool thing is that if my secondary hand is free, I can perform a special type of vault. Okay, a different type of vault where I grab the enemy with my secondary hand. Yeah, and I can hold them like this. Alright, so let me show you everything that you can do with the open hand vaulting. Yeah, so if I'm on the floor and hold them, yeah, they can be used like a human shield, and I can slice them up this way. If I perform if I perform the special vault, yeah, while pressing the attack button, the sword button, whilst I'm still in the air, I can perform a head slice like that. Yeah. So I can also throw enemies in one direction, like I've already demonstrated earlier, in any direction that I want. Yeah, good for clearing up spaces. What I can also do is that I can use a special vault and then rebound off his back, like so, and use that to vault over another enemy behind me. Look at that versatility in this game, man. It's really cool. Yeah, and then you've already seen the vaulting that I can perform from wall running this time, whether horizontal or vertical. Yeah, the prince really does like position himself accordingly to the enemy. And you have the normal rebound vaults as well. Alright, so I'm going to show you one more movement that you can perform from vaulting known as a strangulation. All the moves that I'm showing you right now are shown in the combo list. Yeah, so you can see it right here. Strangulation, steel weapon kill. You can perform the steel weapon kill as well whilst in midair. So let me actually show you that. You need to have your free hand though, so it says a left hand and not armed left hand, so no weapon in the left hand. Yeah, you can perform a special aerial slash as well if you got your free hand. So let me show you that too. So let's vault over him and steal the weapon. So you perform that movement right there. And now the final movement, let me show you a strangulation. So I need a free hand. Let me throw my weapon in him. You can continuously strangle him until he's dead. These are the movements that you can perform in vaulting in the Prince of Persia Warrior Within. So it's really, really cool. Yeah. And I hope that they do implement a lot of different kinds of vaulting techniques. They got a lot to live up to, from the Prince of Persia Warrior Within. So yeah, looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. Right. So in the Prince of Persia, there's a ton of finishing moves. Okay. They look really cool. They're really acrobatic, and they are performed mainly when the enemy is down like that. Then you can retrieve them with the dagger, like so. Okay, and there's a lot of cool movements that are performed, right? Such as the skip step to a cartwheel combo, like you've just seen. All right, there's other really cool ones that can be performed without having them to be completely knocked down by freezing them, or like this. There's a cartwheel one. There's a regular. Prince spinning his hands there. The enemy's frozen in the midair. You can perform like a sort of an Arabian. I think it's an Arabian flip and finish them off that way. You can slice them up that way, or front flip finish. Yeah. So there's loads of different kinds of finishing moves in this game. Okay. The issue here that I have with this system is the fact that these finishing moves are compulsory. You have to do this every single time to finish off the enemy. They always have to be frozen, and you have to finish them off while they're frozen. Oh, otherwise, the only other way that they can be finished off without being frozen is if they're on the ground stunned and you have to retrieve them with the dagger. And you have to do this for every single enemy, every single one. And that's what I don't like. I don't like the fact that they are compulsory. What would be a lot better and a huge improvement to this game would be the fact that, not if they're compulsory, but if you can finish off enemies normally, but at the same time we have the option, the choice, whether to finish off the enemies using a finishing move or just finishing them off normally, right? To completely deplete their health. And if the enemy is in a stun state or on the floor, then yeah, we can use the finishing moves. But it should be player's choice to do these finishing moves or not. We shouldn't be forced to always do them for every single enemy, and I think that's not cool at all. See, the thing is, these are really, really cool actually, yeah. But I just don't like the fact that you are forced to do them every single time. So in other games like Ninja Gaiden and such, we obviously get the option whether we want to perform the finishing moves or not, whilst also having the ability to finish off enemies normally. Alright, and you get this in many different kinds of games too. Like in Bayonetta, you have something called torture attacks, which allow you to instantly finish off an enemy using a special movement. Alright, or you can just attack them normally and finish them off normally. Yeah, but this game, Prince of Persia, always forces you to use a finishing move, and it's really annoying in some circumstances. Yeah, because you don't want to keep using it all the time, right? Alright, so now we're down to the final stretch with the combat improvements. Okay, I know it's been a long ride, so stay with me here. We're getting close to the end now. Okay, so when it comes to the dagger, we have the Dagger of Time. Okay, and I want to mention different kinds of things that we can do in combat with the dagger. So in the first game, in the Sands of Time, our dagger usage in combat was very, very limited. Okay, you had the ability to freeze enemies. Okay, you had the ability to slow down time and you had the mega freeze. But besides that, that's it. Okay, there's no other function for the dagger. Okay, well, I have a few ideas now. Like I said, Dagger of Time. Okay, it can manipulate time. Let's utilize time or manipulate time to our advantage as much as possible. So the idea that I have here is that you see the D-pad on the controller. Let us use the D-pad to manipulate different states of the dagger, to control the dagger in different states. So for example, the up button could be the dagger in neutral state, where attacking enemies will use no powers of the dagger and it will act like a normal dagger. Okay, no powers imbued within the attacks. Okay, if you press the the right directional button, okay, then that will activate the slow down time power. So perhaps if we are to stab an enemy while the slow down state is activated, then the enemies would slow down. Okay, if we press the down directional button, that could be the freeze power. All right. So normally, like how you see in the Prince of Persia: Sands of Time, if you were to attack enemies during this state of the dagger, and then it will cause enemies to freeze in place. All right, and you can manipulate that to your will. And if you press the left directional button, that will cause you to speed up. That will cause the speed state. Okay, so you have the neutral state where the dagger acts like a regular dagger, no powers embedded in the strikes. Okay, then you have the slow state, which will cause the dagger to slow down enemies as the dagger strikes them. Then there's the freeze state, where the dagger completely stops time for said enemy if you choose to fight enemies or attack enemies while in this state. And then the speed state. When I talk about the speed state for the dagger, I don't necessarily mean to make enemies extremely fast, no. But more, I have the idea more like if you were to attack an enemy, it would look like one strike from the prince, but in reality it's like 100 strikes, so quickly, like, yeah. So you stab once, like, 100 attacks like within 1 second. Yeah, I think that would be extremely, extremely cool. And I would like this system to be adopted in all kinds of dagger attacks. Yeah, so for example, you had the normal combo. Yeah, make some nice combos, and then depending on what state the dagger is in, what state you choose the dagger to be in, the attacks from the dagger in this combo would affect the enemies either slow with the slow power, with the fast power, or with the freeze power. Okay, and let this also be embedded in our movements. So you know that I mentioned the flowcharts earlier with the movement attacks and stuff like that. If in any sort of attack, whether it be the combos or the movement attacks, okay, depending on what state you choose the dagger to be in, it should affect those attacks, all right, and even the finishing moves, okay. So if depending on what state the dagger is in, what state you choose it to be in, whether it be slow, fast, or freeze, right? The finishing moves will vary depending on what state of the dagger you choose it to be in. Okay, so I think that would be really, really cool. Different kinds of dagger states which affect how the dagger is used or the types of attacks that will come from the dagger, yeah, in any form of attack from the dagger. I think that would be really, really cool. I hope that you understand what I'm saying here. So every single attack from the dagger can be changed, can be varied from these different states that the dagger can be manipulated with. Alright, that's right. This is the final part now, or it should be. Yeah, final stretch. I'm gonna mention everything quickly because this video was long enough. I took a lot of time making this, right? It was a lot of effort. Okay, I want to just finish this off as much as I can. So content, a very, very important thing here. So I have my notes here, actually, just to quickly mention what I would like there to be in this game. So before in the previous game, it was just a story mode, and you had a few Easter eggs here and there, like the original Prince of Persia games, the 2D ones, and that was really cool. Yeah, but those are like those are secrets, and I think that's really, really cool. I think there should be more secrets. Yeah, but let's go over everything quickly, make it snappy. All right. I don't want Thank you if you have reached this far. I really appreciate it. I hope that, if it's Ubisoft watching this, I hope this helps them, gives them some inspiration, and so they know what to work with. But let's continue. All right. So main story mode. All right. I think in the main story mode, you just can't have a main story mode anymore. There needs to be a lot of secrets, a lot of things that we can find as players. Okay. So what I'm thinking is hidden levels. Okay. You have the main story mode, then you have different like hidden sections for you to find. Yeah. Certain areas which can have loads of unlockables. Obviously, they're hidden, so they should be completely optional. You have the main story, then you have all of these optional paths to go through where you can unlock things, okay? Secret bosses. All right, the bosses in Prince of Persia, I gotta be honest with you, yeah, in the sands of time anyway, they weren't great, they weren't that good. Okay, I think there was only two bosses. All right, I don't even know if you can count the first one as a boss, to be honest. There was the prince's father that you had to fight, who was a sand creature, and the vizier at the end. Yeah, but I don't even know if you can count the first sand beast as a boss because he just fought like a regular sand creature. Yeah, he was pretty much blocking almost every single attack that you performed on him. Yeah, the vizier as well. Nothing too spectacular. So there's only two bosses. I hope that there's more bosses, and at the same time, I hope that there will be a lot more secret bosses for us to fight in the game through optional pathways, right? And yeah, that's it. So more bosses, okay? Hidden areas, hidden secrets, which are completely optional. Yeah, secret bosses, all right, new abilities to unlock. So hopefully there'll be a lot of optional paths, yeah, and even on the main pathway there'll be loads more abilities for us to unlock, and by going through optional paths there'll be abilities for us to unlock where, if you just complete the main story you won't be able to get these powers. So they'll give us the emphasis. You make these optional paths rewarding by giving us secret bosses, secret fights, really cool stuff, new abilities, yeah. So through these secret paths, you want to give us some new abilities, yeah, some new swords, new costumes, yeah. Give us some new blades, give us some new costumes, all right. That'd be really, really cool. Maybe some throwbacks to like give us the Prince of Persia warrior within costume, give us the original Prince, the 2D games, give us that costume, give us Prince of Persia Two Thrones costume, maybe. I don't know. Give us the Prince of Persia Forgotten Sands costume. Give us the Prince of Persia 2008 reboot costume. I really love that outfit. It would be so cool if you put that in there, okay? I'm just saying. So, yeah, man. Have all of these optional areas, yeah, with loads of secret bosses, yeah, and loads more main bosses. You want to put main bosses in the main story too, yeah. G- Give us that sense of reward, that sense of eagerness to want to go through these secret areas that you make for us, these optional areas. right? By putting in lots of cool rewards, new abilities, new swords, yeah, new costumes, new dagger powers, yeah. Give us upgrades to our dagger powers, all right, which includes maybe extended rewind time. That would be really cool, yeah. So by going through this path, the end reward is that now our rewind time has been extended, so we can rewind for longer. Give us maybe a full sand cloud. So in the Prince of Persia Sands of Time, you had these things called sand clouds, and by filling them up, you're able to get more sand tanks, which allow us to rewind time more times, basically. Yeah. And then power tanks, yeah. Maybe by going through this pathway, we unlock a power tank, yeah, a full power tank automatically, just like that. Maybe a full sand tank. By going through this path, we find a super sand cloud, maybe a huge sand cloud, and we absorb it in the dagger instantly. One new sand tank. Okay, that'd be really cool. Give us health by going through these optional areas. Give us health upgrades like the Prince of Persia Warrior Within. One thing that I think that they should also do in this game as we go along, not just the optional areas, but main storyline, is give us lore enrichment. Okay, so make things interesting for us. Give us the history of the palace that we're exploring. Okay, tell us about the residents that live in this palace, that reside in this palace, right? You can do this through letters, text, writings on the wall. That'd be really, really cool. Yeah, books, scriptures, give us things to look at. Yeah, make them interesting for us to see so we can understand who lives here, what they were doing here before the whole catastrophe came on, you know? What about the vizier? What was his plans? Why did he choose to do what he did? Okay, why did he want to decide to take over the palace and trick the prince into opening the sands of time? Yeah, all of this is really interesting. Allow us to explore it in more depth, allow us to explore it more further. That would be really, really cool. Yeah, tell us more about the lore. Who is Farah? Where did she come from? Obviously, we know that she's Indian. Yeah, but give us more details about her family. What happened to the prince, his family? Yeah, who is he? Where did he come from? Yeah, another thing is that we need multiple game modes. You can't just have a story mode this day and age. You need something more than that. So I have some ideas here. A survival mode where you are fighting hordes of enemies and have like different kinds of survival modes. So in one you're fighting in one place of the palace, in another survival mode you're fighting in a different place in the palace. Yeah, have a challenge series. Okay, have a speedrun mode. I think a lot of speedrunners would appreciate that. Where if you select the speedrun mode, you can play through the story no problem and it automatically skips all the cutscenes. Okay, that'd be really cool. I think they would appreciate that. Yeah, the speedrunners would appreciate that. New Game Plus. Yeah, it is criminal to have a hack and slash game without New Game Plus. Okay, absolutely criminal. If I get all my abilities, I don't want to I don't want to start a new game and have to get every single thing over and over and over again. No, thank you. Okay, if you are gonna give me all of these cool abilities and stuff like that, let me use them again for my next playthrough from the very beginning. Give me a new game plus, okay? All right. Different difficulty modes maybe. All right. So normal, hard, very hard. That could be interesting. Oh, another really cool thing as well that I believe that you should have add is a stage select, a level select. All right. Let us be able to, once we complete the game, let us choose. All right, if you want to just quickly snap to that section of the game. Okay, I think that'd be pretty cool because maybe there could be a really cool boss that you include in the game and we just want to fight that boss. Let's select that stage, that particular level, that one boss, and we can just go there straight away. No issues, no hassle. That would be very, very amazing. I would love that. If your bosses are really cool. If those levels are really cool, I just want to get to them straight away. Yeah, have that. Level select, chapter select. Wicked. And maybe some leaderboards. I don't know. If you have a survival mode or a challenge series, maybe you can have like some scores or something. And leaderboards, maybe that can give people some motivation to continue playing the game further. It's not really my kind of thing. I don't really care about leaderboards, but it could be something you can put in there. Why not? Another thing I just want to quickly mention as well as a soundtrack. Yeah, you nailed the soundtrack spot on in the first game in the Prince of Persia Sands of Time back in 2003. Yeah, the Arabian mix with modern instrumentals and stuff like that. Really, really cool. I hope that sticks in this game as well. I love the vocalists, they're amazing. Yeah, and keep that up. Yeah, keep that up. It just fits the vibe of Prince of Persia so much because It just naturally fits. It's Prince of Persia, Arab stuff. You know what I mean? It just fits naturally. Right. So, if you got this far, I can't tell if you're crazy. You have nothing to do with your time. Yeah, I'm joking. Yeah, but nah, I appreciate if you have come down this far. And overall, yeah, I'm still excited for this game, but at the same time, I am definitely worried because Ubisoft has just not been on a good note in it. It's not like the PS2 era where they made some of the sickest games I can remember. All right, Ubisoft was on fire back then, man. But nah, man, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I have hope. I have hope that this game will do good. I have hope that they watch this, yeah, and hopefully they get some ideas from it. I don't expect them to implement every single thing that I say. Yeah, I really hope so. I really hope that they would though, because that would be amazing. And maybe go the extra mile, give us so many things that we could never imagine or never would have, or we would have never even thought that they would add. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That'd be really, really cool. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think there'll ever be DLC for this game. It's very, very unlikely. Yeah, a second campaign as DLC. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think so. It's very, very unlikely. Yeah. One thing Ubisoft, okay, that I forgot to mention. I should have mentioned it in the content section. Okay, but guys, come on. 60 FPS. All right. I ain't gonna stand for 30 FPS in a hack and slash game. All right. Every hack and slash game needs 60 FPS. Okay, I'm gonna accept any lower than that. 59.999 recurring? No, 60. Make it 61 if you want, but nothing under. Okay, graphics. Like I said, I'm not a graphics person. I think that's it, man. Yeah, if you're watching this, thanks for watching, man. When this game comes out, expect me to play it. I mean, if I made all of this effort just to make sure the game is good before it's even released, you can bet I'm gonna play this game. Yeah, I just hope that it's good, man. But in any case, I hope you guys have a good day or a good life. Yeah, enjoy yourselves. Maybe stick around when the game comes out, play it together. It's up to you. Yeah, Ubisoft, if you're watching this, I hope this helps. I hope that you can gain some ideas from it. Yeah. And for the Prince of Persia guys out there, man, respect. Yeah, we finally get our game after so long, man. 10 years, 10 years. Crazy, crazy. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a nice day, or life, or night, whichever it may be.